Okay, isosceles and equilateral triangles. We want to use properties of these triangles to answer questions. So we have a few vocab words here. The legs of an isosceles triangle are the two congruent sides. The vertex angle is the angle that's made by the two legs, and the base angles are the congruent angles on there. So example 1 says, name two unmarked congruent angles and two unmarked congruent segments. So on this diagram, I can see that these are isosceles triangles because these base angles are equal to each other on there. So another angle that I could say would be equal would have to be here, would have to be congruent to that. So I'm going to say angle CBD is congruent to CBD, let's say CBA. So those angles would be congruent to each other. I could say on here, the segments, another set of segments that are not marked. So this would be like the base. So this one would have to be congruent to this segment. So CD would have to be congruent to CA. So those segments would have to be congruent then also to each other. Alright, example 2, find the measure of angle R and the measure of PR. So on here, if I'm looking at this triangle, if I see that this is 60 degrees and I have that equal to that, this is telling me that those sides are equal, which means it's isosceles. So if it's isosceles, these are my base angles, which would also be equal. Now if this is 60 and these two are equal, that means all of them would have to be 60 degrees. So that would also mean that this is equilateral. Oops, EQUI. So measure of angle R would be 60 degrees. And PR would be 5 centimeters. Alright, example 3. Find the value of each of the variables. So listed on here, we can see that these are marked as being equal. So I'm going to set those equal to each other and solve. So subtract 6y, add 5, divide by 2. So y would be 4. So here, if those sides are equal to each other, then that means that this angle and this angle are equal to each other. So I also see that this has the same measure as that. So if those two are equal to each other, then that would mean that all three of them have to be equal to each other. So I could also say on here 4x minus 8 equals 4x minus 8, which is going to get me nowhere. Oh, sorry. We know that 4x minus 8 equals 4x minus 8. If those are equal to each other, it means it's equilateral and equiangular, which means each of them have to be equal to 60 degrees. That's what we had to do there. Sorry about that. I had a little brain fart. So that's going to give you 68. 68 divided by 4 is, what, 17? Is that right? 68 divided by 4? I'm pretty sure that's 17. Yeah, just had to double check there. Alright, so there's our value of x and our value of y. So you have two of them to try on your own here. Finding the measure of angle M, and then finding the value of the variables there. So you have a joke. Why did the lion eat a light bulb? It's because he wanted a light lunch. Alright, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and make sure you're kind to someone today.